Imagine walking into your local grocery store, reaching for a loaf of bread, and seeing the price tag has doubled overnight. Shocking, right? Welcome to the latest reality check. Experts are warning of a potential 50% spike in food prices as the global fuel crisis deepens. Hello and welcome to this channel. I'm Emma, your host, and today we're diving into why this spike is happening, what it means for your wallet, and how to prepare for the storm ahead. Think of supply chain disruption like a traffic jam for food, and price elasticity as the way prices stretch when demand surges. So what's driving this crisis, and how could it reshape our lives? In this episode, we'll uncover the domino effect of rising fuel prices, the panic buying phenomenon, and strategies to protect yourself. Ready for a deep dive? Let's get into Act 1, the roots of the crisis. Ever wondered how your morning cereal makes it from the farm to your table? The answer? Fuel. Everything from planting crops to transporting goods relies on diesel and petrol. When fuel prices soar, so does the cost of every step along the way. Let me break down agricultural logistics. Picture it as the veins and arteries of our food system. And input costs? Those are the raw expenses, fertilizer, seeds, and, crucially, fuel that farmers face. Now, as fuel costs rise, each link in this chain gets squeezed tighter. You might be thinking, so what? Can't we just absorb a few cents more? The truth is, these increases stack up fast, affecting every food product on the shelf. This isn't just a farmer's headache, it's everyone's problem. Let's play a quick game of dominoes, except instead of tiles, we're using trucks, ships, and supermarket shelves. One wobble in the system, like rising petrol costs, and the whole line teeters. The bullwhip effect is what happens when small disruptions at the start of the chain become big problems at the end. Pair that with logistical bottlenecks, think traffic jams in the global supply highway, and you get empty shelves and ballooning prices. Questions like, why can't we just switch to electric trucks? Pop up. In theory, yes, but in practice, infrastructure and costs mean we'll be stuck with traditional fuels for the foreseeable future. The dominoes keep falling. Let's zoom in on regional Queensland, where more than 100 petrol stations have run dry. It's not just an inconvenience, it's a crisis. Imagine farmers unable to fuel their tractors or truckers, stranded hundreds of kilometers from their next stop. This is a classic case of fuel supply vulnerability. Picture a chain with a weak link. Once it snaps, the whole system fails. And then there's last-mile delivery, the final journey goods make to stores. If that leg's broken, local communities feel the pinch first. Perhaps you're asking, why can't they just get fuel from somewhere else? The reality is, remote regions don't have the luxury of easy access. The struggle here is real and immediate. Now, picture this. News hits about petrol shortages and instantly queues snake around service stations. This is panic buying in action, and experts call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's break down demand shock when sudden surges in buying strip shelves bare, and consumer psychology, the way fear drives us to overreact. When everyone rushes to fill their tanks, shortages get even worse. It's a cycle that feeds on itself. You might ask, if I don't act now, will I miss out? That's exactly the trap. The more we panic, the more real the crisis becomes. It's a tough lesson in collective behavior. Remember stories from wartime rationing where everyone had to make do with less? Some experts warn we could see similar measures if the fuel crisis worsens. Resource allocation is the fancy term for deciding who gets what in a shortage. Think of it like slicing a pizza when more people show up for dinner. Then there's market intervention when officials step in to control prices or limit hoarding. Maybe you're skeptical. Could it really get that bad? If recent events are any guide, rationing isn't off the table. We need to stay alert to government signals. Zooming out, we can't ignore the role of international flashpoints, think Iran, or conflicts in the Middle East. These regions are the heart of global oil production, and every tremor there sends shockwaves worldwide. Let's talk geopolitical risk, the way political instability can jack up prices overnight, and energy market volatility, which is like a roller coaster for global economies. The fuel crisis isn't just about supply and demand, it's about global chess moves. You might wonder, can't we insulate ourselves from these faraway events? Unfortunately, in our connected world, a single spark overseas can ignite prices at home. Let's talk about who gets hit hardest. For low-income families, a 50% spike in food prices isn't just inconvenient, it's devastating. Suddenly, basics like bread, milk, or rice become luxury items. Food insecurity refers to not knowing where your next meal will come from. And wage stagnation? That's when paychecks don't keep up with rising costs. Picture a treadmill speeding up while your shoes are glued to the belt. You might be thinking, Can charities or food banks fill the gap? They try, but when millions are affected, resources get stretched thin fast. This is a crisis of equity, not just economics. Here's something you might not realize. Rising fuel and food prices don't stop at the checkout counter. There's a ripple effect that touches everything from transport to schooling and even healthcare. The term cost-push inflation means rising costs are baked into every product or service. Secondary impacts are the dominoes that fall, next, like transport companies hiking fares or schools paying more for supplies. A listener might ask, does this mean my commute or rent could go up too? Absolutely. When essentials become expensive, everyone pays more for daily life. So, what are our options? Building resilience is key. That means designing food and fuel systems that can bend, not break, under pressure. Local sourcing, alternative fuels, and smarter logistics all play a part. Take supply chain diversification, spreading out sourcing to reduce risk, like not putting all your eggs in one basket. And renewable energy integration, which means blending solar or biofuels into the mix to cushion against oil shocks. You might wonder, isn't this expensive? Up front, yes, but in the long run, it protects us from the roller coaster of crisis after crisis. Let's get practical. What can you do today to brace for a food price surge? Start by reducing food waste and supporting local producers. Community gardens and co-ops can cushion the blow when supermarket prices soar. Let's talk about food sovereignty, the idea of communities controlling their own food supply, and mutual aid networks, where neighbors band together to share resources and information. Imagine a patchwork of support, stronger together. You might be thinking, does my small action really make a difference? Absolutely. Collective action adds up. Just as panic buying can worsen a crisis, community action can help solve one. We've crossed a lot of ground today, so let's recap. First, a 50% food price spike is a real risk, driven by fuel shortages and panic buying. Second, supply chains are fragile, and when they break, the most vulnerable suffer the most. Third, solutions exist from local action to big picture innovation, but they require all of us working together. Here's your action step. Take stock of your household supplies and connect with your local community, whether that's a farmer's market or a neighborhood group. Don't wait for the next headline to act. Wondering what's around the corner? Next episode, we'll unpack how renewable energy could disrupt this cycle for good. Until then, stay informed, stay prepared, and remember, resilience starts with you.